Hello, here we are again with Mookie Tenembaum. We are exploring, as many of you already know, his disillusionist philosophy through these videos. We are trying to understand the misalgic theory that explains human behavior as ways of avoiding suffering. And week after week, we are now in December 2021. We are trying to apply some of these concepts to current affairs. We are using sometimes bits of news as they happen in order to illustrate this philosophical system. And today we are going to review the situation with the COVID-19 pandemic and utilize what's happening right now in order to think about the individual, in order to think about the role of individual human beings in the disillusionist system.
Okay, we are in the middle, as we all know, and this is very important. We are doing this tape on Friday. The reason normally we tape on Wednesdays or Thursdays, but because the incredible rhythm of changes that we hear every day about the Omicron pandemic, the new one, the new variant. To avoid to try to be as updated as possible, but of course this may prove very futile because these things keep changing. First of all, I think we should look for a moment about the naming of the Omicron, and disillusionism has something to say about it. You see, the name is always a Greek letter, and they keep putting one Greek letter after the other, and when the next letter should have been nu, N-U. Immediately, the WHO say, no, we cannot do that. The no will go to the next letter because it sounds like new. I was like, so what? The reason is, and here comes the beauty of it, is because it is the 13th variant that is of concern. Number 13. And of course, as you may know if you live in the US, many buildings do not have a 13th floor. They have 12 and then 14 or 12A and 12B or some stupid system that they invented to themselves. Is superstition driving the WHO, or is they don't want people to be superstitious? It's very funny. Then the next letter was Xi, XI, and that did not work because, as you know, the president of China may take it as an offense. So we went to a word that it's very hard for everybody to pronounce, which is a soft O in Greek. It's not like the O, the omega. It's Omicron. This is the disillusionist view of the name of the pandemic, well, maybe the pandemic, but of this variant. Having said that, the interesting thing about this and why we bring it now and why we want to talk about it is because this variant had a patient zero. Now, let me explain what patient zero means. The first patient where that variant went on being contagious or disseminated all over the place. That guy or that woman, maybe in Botswana, maybe in South Africa, maybe it had HIV, as many suspect, many doesn't. Nobody knows. But that person is behind this wave. That means if that person, and this is very important, there is always one person. This is not happening in 5 people at the same time. This would be very, very, very unusual. So if that person, let's say, instead of going without his mask outside, would have gone with mask and be masked all the time, we will not have the Omicron. Not this one, maybe another one. Maybe we'll end up with another variant. In fact, having Omicron, that doesn't mean we don't have other variants being now in the works. Yes? So one person had the chance and has the chance now to create or to propagate and to cause the death of the death of a lot of people. Many people will die out of maybe not Omicron, but maybe other variants. But it happened also with the first one. We know the Wuhan was one guy. Yes, maybe it came from animals. Maybe it doesn't matter. But the difference between that one and this one is by then the person didn't know. There was no COVID before here, so he wouldn't have to go with a mask. Yes. But the people who did it now, well, they already know that we are in the middle of a pandemic. So this takes us to the next step, And that means this is the first time, you would say, that the individual makes or breaks, maybe even a whole pandemic, or even a cluster. Yes, it doesn't have to be the whole pandemic, just a cluster. The answer is no. This is not the first time. HIV had a story with a guy who was a pilot, and apparently he was again patient zero. Again, he didn't know he had AIDS. Yes, in fact, it takes a long time from the moment you have it until you start feeling symptoms. It takes quite a long time. So that person distributed. But there is a case in which a person did know about it, and it's even older. That's from the 19th century. Mary Madden, also known as Typhoid Mary, propagated the typhoid fever, which is a very, very nasty sickness that kills a lot of people. And she's known because of that, Typhoid Mary. And in fact, all her, some of the samples of blood from her are even used till today, Typhoid Mary, to try different things. So one person is behind this. Now, this is opposed as when you vote, Florencio, or when somebody asks you to recycle, your contribution is zero. What I mean zero is if you vote or you don't vote, nothing will change. If you take the plastic bottles and recycle them, nothing will change. So what do you say about all this, Florencio?
I think it's a basic tenet of disillusionism to claim that individual influence is almost always negligible. But it's interesting to think that it's just almost always negligible, because this is a case, the patient zero case, in which one single individual, as you said, can have a huge influence. What I was going to ask you from the very beginning is, which other cases are there in which single individuals can have an impact? Because, of course, in voting, in recycling, in, I would say, almost any endeavor in life, what we do or what we do not do changes nothing. But this is a good example where individuals do make a difference. And I wanted to ask you about other examples of this sort.
Well, you can think even in a trendsetter. Any person who sets a trend, we see it in YouTube, all the influencers. Yes? They are, in fact, that's their job. They try to infect others with an idea. Yes. In fact, we used to use the word viral. You know,
Yes, of course.
This is a viral campaign. I haven't heard that word for a while. You know, I wonder why.
We're not in the mood for viral videos.
Look, when people come out with a mask, when you come out with a mask, you are making sure you are not going to make somebody else sick, and it is in your hand. Okay, I never say individual has no value inside of a group, inside of your egosphere. Of course, it's very important. 1 out of 20, of course, can make a difference. 1 out of 1,000, no, zero, nothing. Yes, so that kind of society, you help society, or society does not exist. Society is the accumulation of individuals. It's John and Mary, even Typhoid Mary, Peter, Paul. Everybody is part of what we call society to be able to exchange ideas, but it doesn't exist really. There is no such a thing. There is no social construct. This is really happening in our brain. So the question is, you see, the moment you come out with, some people they go out. If you go out, and I'm talking outside, I'm talking indoors. You go indoor, and you are without your mask. You are becoming. You potentially can change the life of 1, 10, 20, 1,000, maybe 1 million people. And that is a power we haven't seen. I mean, how many times you can say, I can change the world? Not for the better, for the worse. Yes, it's quite easy. It's like a terrorist, okay? A terrorist goes out and one individual can make a difference, but it's limited to the people he can kill, yes, or he can maim. But not only that, people who go out with their lucky charm, you know, the face mask that goes under your nose, the one that goes here, you know, that one is a lucky charm because it doesn't help for contagion. But it's maybe they think it brings them luck or something. The people who do this. The problem is that one person. You understand the difficulty of this. We spoke about it, Florencio, at the beginning of the first videos about the pandemic that we did in June 2020. You remember? And in that one, I told it's not enough to have 80% of the people on board. You need 100 or very close to 100. Okay, so the individual this is the moment in which we can nakedly, with our eyes naked, see the individual. Think about it. The difference between that and as I said, voting or whatever is like taking an atom out of a table. Is it still a table? Of course, yes. So you are an atom. That's what you are in the middle of all this. This is what you are, no?
You mentioned terrorists there, and I think they are also like trendsetters and patient zeros, a good example of individuals that can actually make a difference. But when you're describing most cases in which we are contagious to others, I think it's just negligence. It's just that we are not being careful enough. There might be cases, this is a question rather, are there, in your opinion, cases in which contagion is intentional? It's something the people sets out to do, like a terrorist would, like a trendsetter would. It's out there to viralize, to spread the virus. Could this be a part of what we are seeing today?
Well, I once overheard a conversation in a pharmacy. It was in Zagreb, in Croatia. Two people speaking in English, they were talking to each other, and one was saying, "I'm not going to use the masks. I got sick, and people should be, I'm going to. If I am sick, everybody should be sick. Why? Wow. Why nobody took care of me?" So these are people, I am sure, psychotics or psychopaths or just people out on a vengeance that they decide to avenge and to become contagious. Maybe even leave a little bit of saliva in each one of the buttons of the elevator. I mean, to that degree, you know. Look, that person. But the interesting thing here is that, as in a way that reminds us of climate change, that reminds us of voting, you don't know what you do. I mean, you don't know if who died because of you, unless it was done in a very small group of people. So contagion is anonymous incoming and is anonymous outgoing. So that allows the people to lie to themselves. No. I have been already sick. I remember I had chills last month. And it was clearly COVID. Did you test yourself? No, of course. But I never have chills. So that probably was COVID. Or I lost the sense of smell. Yes, I went to a restaurant and I couldn't smell the meat. I heard things like that. And these people decide that they cannot be contagious because they were sick with COVID. And you have also people, you when you go to a restaurant, yes, and people say, well, to eat, I have to take off the mask. Nobody makes you eat in a restaurant. This is not an obligation to eat in a restaurant. I mean, if you're contagious, you're contagious. It doesn't matter if you're in a restaurant, yes, and you're eating, yes, or drinking or talking. But this has been the problem all along because information was given. Another very good example are vaccinated people. People who are vaccinated, now are they told, after a long way, I mean, a long story in which people try to deny that they can be contagious. So even vaccinated people, I took a vaccine, why do I have to go with a mask? And you can tell them the fine points of virology. No, look, but even if you can be contagious, the vaccine does it only protect you, but doesn't protect the others. You lost him or her. That's it. They're doing something. Probably they're tying their shoes or going to a restaurant.
We're out of time. already, but I think we've covered the quirks of the individual amidst these special situations. And I'm sure we'll go back to this difference between what's the individual influence in the larger scheme of things, and, as you said, most cases in which the individual influence is so diluted that it amounts to nothing.
Yes, well, this is it. This is. You see, it's hard to people to explain the difference between an individual and a collective. The collective is made out of individuals, but so is a table made out of atoms, as I said. It is the same. But if one atom, here you have a case. If you have enough atoms who are unstable, the collective in an atomic bomb. So
you have a chain reaction. Exactly.
It's a chain reaction, yes.
Very well. See you next time. Thank you.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed the video, please like it, comment and subscribe.